Great stuff. So, welcome, Joel, to the business of personal brand photography. It's so nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Excited to jump in.
Great stuff. So, well, we've both worked with a lot of photographers who are really brilliant at what they do. But I guess the thing that when it comes to mindset, that can often sort of like unravel them. And I guess that's why I really wanted to bring you on today. So, can you just to backtrack a little bit, share a little bit about what brought you from being a working photographer to a mindset coach?
Yeah, like I had a photography business and I did weddings, then moved into the portrait space and really enjoyed it, but found that it was a battle a lot of the time. And it was a high stress environment. I was constantly feeling pressure financially and time pressure and stress and overwhelm with the business. So I started to seek out answers for that. And I got coaching and I read books and then it sort of led me into a personal development journey, I guess, and looking into neurology, spirituality, different concepts. And it just fascinated me, just working out how the human brain works and what motivates us and why things happen and how stress occurs. And I just really dove into that for probably 7 or 8 years. And it really transformed my business. I was going from working 78 hours a week to like 20 or 30 hours and making more money. And it wasn't anything structurally I was doing. It was all the mindset strategies that I'd implemented. And then people started asking, like, how are you doing this? What are you doing here? And I just sort of coach friends, photographers, just on the side as just for free, helping them out. And I really enjoyed it, like seeing me help them and what results they start to get. And so then I thought, I'll do a coaching course and I'll do it as a side hustle type of thing, right? I'll just do coaching on the side. And then I just started loving it more and more. And then I found that I was really disappointed when I had to stop my coaching and go back into a photography shoot or deal with the photography business. So that's when I knew it was time to let go of that part of my life, which was 20, 22 years. And it was my baby. And it was super hard to let go of that business because it was just, I'd built it from 22 years old or whatever I was at the time. But I always get drawn to where I'm passionate. And that's why I've moved in the coaching space and really love helping photographers not have to go through all the stuff I went through or had to learn over 10 years that they can do it in a matter of months.
So I'm interested to understand. Obviously, you have had this journey where you were doing a lot of work over a course of time. Did you find that there was a pivotal moment where things just kind of made sense? Is there a particular incident that you can recall where you were just like, hey, I've got this? Or was it just like a sort of like a slow burn where things started to change? Because going from 70 hours a week to 20 hours a week is a significant change. And I know because I was in the wedding game for years as well. And I know the hours and the stress. And I don't think with weddings, you understand the stress that you're under until you're not doing weddings. Do you agree with that?
100%. Yeah. It's just sort of you. That the one of the pivotal moments that made me change was when my daughter was born, which was 2010. And I think at the time around that, or just after she was born, I think I worked like 140 days in a row or something, doing weddings and wedding season and everything. And it just hit me. I'm like, this is not, I'm going to miss out on her life if I keep doing this. So something has to shift. So that's when I sort of started to dive in. Was there a pivotal moment where I knew that it shifted? Probably not. I think it was more of
Mm.
a slow, steady learning and unlearning and evolving and shifting what I was doing. Yeah, one of the other pivotal moments was there's probably a period of 2 or 3 years, I would say, that it really, really transformed from that crazy stressed, overworked to that, okay, I've got it all together. And she must have been maybe two at the time. She could talk and she talked early, so maybe it was 2.5. But well, she wanted to play dolls with me. Got home from the studio. I was super stressed still. It was really busy season and we're playing dolls and she goes, "You're not playing with me." And I said, "Well, yes, I'm playing." And she goes, "No, you're not concentrating." And it was like, boom. She just knocked me for six because I wasn't mentally there. I was thinking about work. I was just pretending to play. And that was a pivotal moment. That's like, all right, this has really got to shift now.
I've got
Yeah.
goosebumps because I have two very similar stories. So I shot my last wedding 2 weeks before I gave birth, and I'd
Oh,
had
wow.
my daughter was born in the end of April. So you know how busy that season is leading up to that. And I remember distinctly when she was about maybe 10 days old, putting her on my tummy and sitting back, lying back, right back from the computer and editing for hours and hours like crazy. And then I've got a very similar moment when she was 2. I was working in bed next to her on my laptop, probably editing photos. And she went and she grabbed my face and she pulled it towards her and she goes, "Me." And I was like,
Wow.
same as you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
not
And
present. Ah,
yeah. Yeah. And kids are so powerful at teaching us lessons if you look for it. And most of the biggest lessons I've learned are from my kids, where
yeah,
they'll pull you the line if you're not in line. And it's understanding that moment, right? Because you could easily take that moment and go, oh, leave me, I'm working, and just sort of move on, but it really hits you, right?
yeah,
And that's why it's so hard. Most of my clients, I'd say 80% of my clients, sort of like you said, are mums, right? It's a
mm,
much harder task to have a business when you're a mum, generally speaking, because you're the primary caregiver. You're the one very heavily focused on the kids' activities or breastfeeding and all those sort of things when you're a mum. So it's super hard. And that's where the guilt comes in, right? The balance comes in of like, you need to have your business, you need to work, but you also have to have time for them. So it's getting out of that guilt cycle as
yeah,
well
yeah.
and strategizing how that's going to look for you. And it's different for everyone.
Do you have any pointers in that area?
Yeah.
Because I know a
Well,
lot of people listening to this right now are juggling family and marriages and maybe breaking down of marriages and aging parents and all of that kind of thing and feeling guilty when they're at work for not being with their family and feeling guilty at with their family because they're not in their work. Such a
yeah. And
cycle.
what, and you're 100% right. And it's one thing with like guilt is it's the most constrictive, shame and guilt are the most constrictive energy spaces you can be in. So when you're in guilt and shame, you're literally piling shit on top of the shit and you're pushing like it's like you're really working hard. When you get out of that space, and we can talk about this, but you want to get into that flow state. So that's where it's like love, joy, and peace is a flow state, right? So everything's sort of more effortless and you're moving between things easily and things are just, bookings are coming in, sales are easy, home life's great. And we ebb and flow into this, but when you notice you're in guilt, it's just self-punishment for no reason. So it's about doing what you're doing in the moment and owning it for a period of time and then pausing that and then going back to the next phase and owning that and being in it and being present. It's all about presence because
Mm,
guilt is like doing something, but you're not present to it.
mm,
You're thinking about where you should be. When you use words like should or shouldn't, you're making yourself wrong. So it's picking up. So it's all about awareness. You're picking up, okay, I'm feeling guilty. I don't need to feel guilty. I'm focusing on this and then I'm going to do this. And
mm,
it's almost compartmentalizing different aspects and understanding they all need your time and attention and blocking out what that looks like for you. So, I started really prioritizing what that looked like for me. And one of the things I noticed, and my wife picked me up on it, is like, I'd go, yeah, I'll be home at 5, right? From the studio. I had a photography studio, obviously. And then I'd get home at 5:30. I'd get home at 6. And she's going, you can't do this. Like, we've got young kids and I'm juggling. I didn't realize that. So I go, all right. And I sat down with her and I said, all right, 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And I said every day, exactly when I'd leave and exactly when I'd come home. And I stuck to it.
mm,
Because when you do that, happier home life, obviously, but also you get way more done when you give yourself less time because you're
mm.
not procrastinating and mucking around, and then you get a lot more focus and start time blocking things. And client wants to do a shoot at 4 o'clock on a Monday. Sorry, I don't do that. This is when I do shoots, and you are back in charge because a lot of people let their clients dictate terms. And I did the same thing when I did portraits. I'd go, all right, we're only working one Saturday a month. We decided. We went from every Saturday to 3 Saturdays a month to 2 Saturdays a month to one Saturday a month. And it was just people found time. We'll take a
Yeah.
day off work. We'll work around it. You can't go to the dentist on a Sunday morning, right? So you set the parameters. Yeah.
You're so speaking my language right now. This is something that I'm huge on is calendar blocking. And I think that there's something, I don't know, something happened for me in this is the second that I started honoring and valuing my time, my clients did too. So they
Hmm.
respected, they turn up on time, they turn up prepared. I don't have no shows at appointments or anything like that, which is, I'm not saying that that happened a lot in my previous sort of iterations of my business, but definitely putting that structure in. And I know that a lot of people listening to this right now are probably, but I've got to be sort of available to everybody because what if they don't book me? What if they don't? And what kind of advice do you give people around that sort of psychology?
Yeah, well, they're not going to be great clients because they're not valuing the experience. They're not valuing your time, right?
Yeah.
So it was always a lesson I learned where I'd bend the rules for someone and they'd be a horrible client, right? And you'd learn, yeah, I knew that that's because I bent the rules, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not valuing your own time and boundaries, they're not going to. And that's where you have all these problems and stresses and everything. But when you have these, we'd say to people, yeah, you can have a Saturday, but we're booked out till August. They're like, shit. Well, no, we'll take a day off work. And they value that time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, come whenever. It's a real lack or fear that's in there. Like they know that and they can subconsciously pick up on these things as well. There's so much communication that's subconscious in sales and in marketing, all these things that people pick up on it without even realizing. And it's that fear or scarcity that, oh, they're going to go away, so I've got to grab them now. But if you're like, I don't need you, and you don't want to say it like that, but that feeling of like, I'm fine, they want you more.
Yeah, 100% concur.
Want
It's really interesting because we set up a lot of our students, we set up their entire online booking systems and stuff for them and their sales pages and things. And when we send out the thing that says, what's your availability for this style of appointment? And they go Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and Saturday mornings. And they've got like, 100% availability in their calendar. I'll always write back and go, no, I'm going to put some rules in place for you, hun, just so that you can also be in the one headspace and one activity. One thing that I know I used to do is I'd start the day with like 50 to dos on my list, and no one of them was cohesive. So you'd be jumping from the accounting brain to the admin brain to the editing brain. Oh,
Mhm.
someone's rang and they want something straight away. I'm willing to bend over and do that. Do you have any kind of advice on that sort of like kind of, I guess, structuring the day to be able to set yourself up for an impeccable mindset activity day? Do you know, like a really sort of flowy day?
Yeah, like it's time blocking structure into your week. And like I talk to my clients about, you need a block of time every week, 2 to 4 hours for marketing, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
just blocked out no matter what. Your client, you might have consultations or planning appointments. These are the 3 times a week in these blocks of time. Shoots, these are the blocks of time. Like really block it out because then you understand, all right, Monday's a shoot day, for
Yeah.
example. Friday's a marketing day, and you've got the plan there. Because you're right, if you're jumping, because most photographers are doing everything in their business,
Mm-hmm.
if you're jumping from admin to retouching to shooting to marketing to all these things, that's where we get messy. That's where we got all over the place. So it's just focusing moments of time in aspects.
Yeah.
When I had the photography and the coaching business, I had to learn this because jumping from photography to coaching to photography to coaching, it was too hard. So when I had the coaching and the photography business, I really had to block out times. And I had two part-time staff doing 14 hours a week, and I'd got to the point where I was only coming in and doing the shoots or going like, and that was all I was doing. And I put I think it was 3 different spots a week. So I think it was like Monday afternoon, Wednesday morning, and I think every one Saturday every month. And that was it. That was the only times people could book. And one of the staff members at the time said, well, what if they can't do those times? I go, well, too bad. That's the
Mm-hmm.
times.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fine. I don't think we had anyone go, well, I'm not coming in. They made it work, right? So then I knew the rest of the time was coaching, and all I had to do was I had these two hours here and here each week. That was it.
Yeah.
Simple.
And
Yeah.
I run my business pretty much the same. I'm in a similar space to you were. I'm still doing photography and running the coaching side of things, or the teaching side of the business. And I'm finding that it's very empowering to say to people, sorry, you just can't get a date with me until like, August, September at this stage. And they go, oh, we must get into your calendar now then. So it's almost like,
People,
but it's the psychology of buying, right? Because people, if they think that you are so popular, the psychology is that she must be good or they must be amazing. So I really need to have them more. I want them more,
yeah,
right?
people want what they can't have, and that's a scarcity. You want to put scarcity and urgency on stuff as well. That's what
Two of
people
my
buy.
favorite words, scarcity and urgency. I feel like you and I talk the same language all the time.
Yeah.
I wanted to just turn the corner a little bit because we've been talking a little bit about mums, but I know a lot of people that are listening to this podcast are maybe even past sort of the younger kids' age and maybe have older kids that are sort of becoming more independent, or else they might be reclaiming their business or even maybe in transition in their business. And yet something that I find with so many beautiful creatives that I work with, mostly it's coming from the female side of things, sorry, ladies, is that I've got people who've in my academy who've been in business and been a photographer for 15 years, for 20 years, for 30 years, and they still come back to a lack of confidence when it comes to pricing. Are you able to like maybe give me some insight on what you've learned about why maybe pricing is triggering so much fear in photographers and maybe
Yeah,
particularly this audience, the midlife kind of women as well? Have you got any insight on that?
I definitely think because you're right. Certain, and this is very much a generalization, but women are very good at certain things and men are very good at certain things, right? What I find, women are very good at the connection, so much better than men at the connection and building rapport with clients and like nurturing. Men usually are better at pricing or charging what they should. And there's different variances of that. Obviously, that's not a one size fits all. And it's more of the female energy and male energy, right? So a lot of it comes back to self-worth as well. And what we want to build is a system and a process around pricing that makes the pricing easy. And what I mean by that is, consultation call, the planning point, the emails, the how we're talking about pricing, how we're showing products, how we're nurturing that. So the sale is actually way easier. It's
Mm,
gets to the point where it's not a sale. It's just about taking the order and they pick what they want. So it's
mm,
taking the heat out of having to say these numbers and quote these numbers and do it in a process. So
mm.
that's one thing. And it's all about upping your cringe point, which is the number or figure you can say confidently without making that face or feeling weird.
I
Right.
love
Because
that. I've never heard anyone say that before. The cringe point. That's freaking
yeah,
awesome. Sorry.
yeah, like my cringe point when I started was very low, right? So, if I had to quote over $1,000, that would be my cringe point. And then by the 10, I could quote eight or nine. It was probably up to nine or 10,000. I'd start to, oh shit, this is getting high. That's probably my cringe point. But it's upping that cringe point and it's slowly building the processes and pricing in to get that. I think the other thing that helps is like when we're talking about this on my mastermind call this morning is like when you understand someone's doing what you want to do, it's easy to do. So it's like Roger Bannister who broke the 4 minute mile. I don't know if you know that story where
Yeah,
no one,
100%.
yeah, could
Mm,
get under 4 minutes. And then he did it. And I think 100 and something people that next year broke it because they go, oh, that's possible. So I remember talking to a photographer. I think I was doing about a $1,200 average at the time. And I was at an AIPP event and I was talking to them. They did a $3,000 portrait average. I didn't even think that was possible. I'm like, that's
mm.
insane. Then I'm like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. So I just started understanding what I need to do. And then I got there, right? Because I saw it was possible.
Do you not think though, and I mean, so my experience with weddings, because I was a wedding photographer in Sydney, was that a man would open a business and he'd go, of course I should charge $5,000 straight out of the bat when I've known, only photographed three, been an associate photographer for maybe 2 years or something like that. But women inherently, when that, so what I feel when you said that is that you as a man went, I'll rise to the challenge. But I suspect a lot of women would go home from that conversation, obsess over your Instagram, look at all the reasons why you can charge that and look at their own stuff and go, these are all the reasons why I can't. That's sort of, I think, how a lot of the people that
Yeah.
I work with maybe until we work through the blocks, like it's sort of, I guess maybe I'm looking for some tools too to be able to help to move people through this phase faster because I definitely I feel like there's so many beautiful creatives that I just want to go, you are worth so much more. And stop
Yeah.
looking at what other people are doing because it doesn't make logical sense to base your pricing around what somebody else is doing to me.
So this is where male energy is logic and female energy is more based in emotion and feelings, right?
Mm,
And like this is why numbers and logic are easier for male energies and it's harder for some female. And like, this is a generalization again. But yeah, you talked about blocks. It's all about the blocks, right? So
mm,
what's getting in the way? Why are we feeling this way? One thing is do not ever comparison's a thief of joy. And when you understand what you can charge has very little to do with your photography skills,
mm,
that's a big game changer, right? It's all
mm,
about your sales and marketing and how you're making the client feel, the client process, the client experiences, and that's where females are really good. They create
mm,
amazing experiences, right? So start there and build the experience out because they're not paying for the finished product. They're not paying for the photo. They're paying for the whole experience.
I hope all
And
of my students are listening right now because this is what I talk about all the time experience. I think with AI and everything that's coming into play here, people are going to be buying into experience so much more, don't you?
100%. And that's why experience is going to be way more valuable in the future because AI is going to take over a lot of things, but can never do that. It
Yeah.
can never make a person feel a certain way or make them seen or like all these different things that we do and ask certain questions and going to get responses and build emotion into things. AI is never going to be able to do that. And I heard a AI expert on a podcast the other day pretty much talk to that exact thing. The industries that rely on that connection are never going to get, like coders are probably stuffed, right? They just sit there and code. Computers will be able to do that. But what we do, you'll be able to get AI that shows you a beautiful photo of yourself. It already does, really. Like it's going to get better, but it's going to not have that connection, that finished product, that experience as well.
Yeah.
And people are going to
100.
crave more.
I agree. I remember when I went and saw Tony Robbins speak on stage a couple of years ago, and he was talking about like, how you could literally go put the VR reality things on and have him in your lounge room basically and all of that kind of thing. And I was like, but at the end of the day, when you pull up the glasses, you still know that you weren't there. And I feel like that as well with what we do is such a intimate experience that there will be people, and I've had a heap in my purview talking about this. Oh, I uploaded a photo and it made 60 photos of me doing that. And I'm like, yeah, but did any of them feel like you? Did they have soul? Do you know? So I think for a lot of people, they may be fearful about what's happening in our industry. It's so nice to hear you echo what I've been saying about that kind of whole experiential thing. And I
Well,
think that's the whole value driven part of what we do and sell and market, right? We're service based.
correct. I started 2021, 2001. So digital was just a thing, right? So I was shooting film. I shot film, and then when digital came out, digital was going to kill photography, right? That was the thing. No, it didn't. And then when those smaller digital cameras come out, oh, that's going to kill photography. No, it didn't. And then smartphones come out, oh, it's going to kill photography. Same with AI. It never does, but there's all these
Mm-mm.
people that fear it. And you just got to embrace it, right? When you
Mm.
embrace the technologies, they can work with you. And yeah, I love Tony Robbins. And funny you say that because my sister, I've been to a couple of his live events and they're just life changing.
Yeah.
He's like 5, 6 day events. And my sister did a live event with him and then did, I think in COVID, she did one where it was like 5 days, but you're in your lounge room and because you couldn't go anywhere. Anyway, she said it was great, but a totally different
Different
experience.
experience. Yeah.
Nowhere near as impactful as just being in the room.
Was she on her own for that one, just out of curiosity? Do you know?
She was with her husband.
Okay, so I'll tell you a story. So I did one of the virtual events, but I did it within a room with 8 women, and it was
Okay.
exceptional. And then I went and did one on my own, as you say, just completely different experience. My friend's just about to go to Fiji to do one of his retreats, sort of thing. She signed up for like the year program or whatever, and I'm like, I'm so jealous. Can I come in your suitcase? I'm grounded this year. I'm not allowed to fly anywhere because it's my daughter's final year in school. So I'm like, but when she finishes school in November, she's not going on schoolies. Mum's going on schoolies. Bali, here I come. Okay, cool. Let's have a little bit of a turn then, because one thing that I really wanted to maybe address right now, we're in June as of the time of recording, and there is just so much noise going on politically, socially, financially. So I'm curious to see if there's anything that you can shed light on how people can separate what's happening out there on what's possible maybe in here in people's minds and in their businesses, because I just think that there's so much distraction, and I think a lot of people, there's probably a lot of fear. Can you speak to that at all, and your sort of any advice you can give?
Yeah, it's all fair. One of the big best piece of advice is don't watch the news,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's some perverted payoff when we watch the news because we get to feel all these negative feelings. And it's a weird thing we do as humans is sometimes we're drawn to that, right? But it's so negative and there's nothing good on the news. You can keep abreast of stuff, but you don't need to watch it all the time. And one of the huge things I talk to my clients about, because it's in Facebook groups all the time, how no one's buying, everything's negative, negative, negative. And they come and go, well, no one's making any money. I go, well, that's not actually true. I'm working with multiple photographers are killing it. So why are some photographers having their best years and highest sales ever and others are struggling? It's because they're not feeding into the narrative.
Mm.
And like when, especially with finance stuff like interest rates and cost of living, and all you hear is that over and over, one of the phrases I get my clients to say is that doesn't apply to me. And you see something and you, well, that doesn't apply to me. And you move to what you actually want. Because if you take an actual look on Facebook, there's people traveling overseas, buying new cars, spending all this money. People still have money, right? Now, you've just got to create a system and a process and a client experience that people value and they'll still come for. And that's not changed. I've got literally got multiple clients at the moment having their best years, months ever, and others that are going out of business. And it's all the mindset and systems they put in place. And just simply that doesn't apply to me.
I think you're
Because
quite
when,
lucky, and you and I are both lucky because I started in 1999. So we've ridden the same waves and we've seen the same thing. And I think that there's something to be said for having somebody who's had experience of riding waves in your corner to be able to help you to just navigate through it. Because I definitely had some amazing mentors in 2008, 2009, when the GFC, remember, and all that happened. And I just re-geared and changed things, changed the gear sticks a little bit, and I was still relatively new-ish in business then, but it was kind of like the elders above me that were able to sort of go, the late 80s were really tough. Here's what we did.
yeah, and yeah, I think experience helps, right? And I always look back, yeah, I was going to say 2008, 2009, the same sort of thing. And it's like when things are shifting, we can't continue to do the same thing over and over and get, a different result. We've got to shift with it. Okay, we're shifting gears a little. What are we going to do to navigate this period? Because there's ups and downs all the time through history. Probably 2014, 15, all the way through to before COVID was great, right? We were very lucky.
golden
And then
golden times.
oh, yeah, obviously, COVID just totally shifted everything, some in a good way, some in a bad way, but you've got to accept what happened and then move through it. And I think if you've been in business, and a lot of people I talk to started their business in 2019, 2020, if you got through 5 years, fuck, take your hat off because that's probably the hardest or most tumultuous 5 years we've ever had. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
shifted this year, maybe 4 years. This year's a little bit, but not anywhere near. Like I think we're coming out of that.
Mm.
But yeah, it's just simply that doesn't apply to me. What you focus on, you draw towards you as well. So if you're constantly seeing negatives and people not buying and cancellations or no one's going to spend, that's exactly what you're going to get. But if
Yeah.
you think heaps of money and people are going to book, that's what you'll get.
Yeah. I would say to people to
That's-
be really careful about your community that you have around you, because I've
Mm,
I've been lately saying to my photographers, retrain your algorithm. Legit, go and engage positively with positive accounts so that you can just change what's literally coming into your world.
yeah,
And even stop if there's a photographer that you're hate watching down the road because they're having so much success, change your algorithm. Start, for my audience, it's start engaging with businesses that you'd like to work with. Start following their accounts and actually proactively engaging with them. Change what you're looking at, change your purview.
yeah. Well, there's a saying, misery loves company, right? And we see something negative and we're almost drawn to it sometimes. So what I like to do is, and one of the things I really have to catch myself on, and I'm really like, is when you see people having success, follow those people and champion that and go, awesome, because people see another photographer killing it. And part of them thinks, well, if they're killing it, I can't. Like it's like there's only a limited supply, but there's not. There's an infinite supply. I had a client that, and I wish she had stayed on because she needed a big shift, but she decided to not come into the program. She goes, oh, there's another photographer in my area in your program at the moment. I don't want to, they're my competition. And this is a big city. I don't want to say the city, but like this is a like million people city, right? And I said, well, they do newborns and pregnancy, and you do families. Totally different genre, and like there's plenty for everyone. She just wouldn't have it, so she didn't end up doing the coaching, which she really needed, right?
Mm.
But like when I had my photography studio, I moved literally 500 meters away from another photography studio doing weddings, and he rang me up, and we had coffee, and we just got on like house on fire, and we helped each other, we worked together, like because there's
Mm.
so much work, like it's not a lack. The more we can all work together, the more work there is, right? Same with coaching. I love talking to other coaches like you. There's heaps of coaches I converse with and talk to and follow because I want to be around people like that. There's so much
Mm.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's kind of like obviously leaning into an abundance mindset. I think when you come up in the wedding game, maybe that's a different culture too. Than maybe some of the other domestic markets like portraits. I don't know because I haven't really ever really sat in the portrait space much. I had a studio, but I didn't do families like, outdoor family portraits. But with weddings, my community anyway, when I was in the wedding trade, there was so much work. It was like, you can't get it. I'm going to send you to three other amazing photographers. And it was all coming back. So I wonder if that was just like a wedding specific thing that we were all quite generous. I don't know. It's just an interesting thing to
Well,
think
yeah,
about.
I did weddings for 10 years and I did portraits for over 10 years as well. And it was the same with portraits. When we created a group, there was six of us that caught up once a month and helped each other with marketing strategies. And technically we were in slightly different areas, but in competition, but we were helping each other. We'd be able to call up, what do you do in this circumstance? How would you do this? Marketing. I think
Yeah.
it's just surrounding yourself with people that are in that abundance mindset, not the scarcity or lack mindset
Yeah, maybe
is
I've been lucky. I've just attracted good people. I
yeah, well,
think
it's
people attract good people too.
100%. It's your energy as well. You attract what you put out there.
True. Well, okay, this probably leans quite nicely into another topic that I wanted to pick your brain about. You talk a lot about conscious creation. And I've heard you say, this whole idea of being really intentional with your life in business, maybe instead of being reactive, which I think a lot of small business owners are just by nature of having to juggle all the balls. And I really love that because yeah, I just see a lot of people running on autopilot, I think, and just taking what comes their way, maybe chasing bookings, or worse again, you and I talked about this before. Oh, photographers naturally want to chase shiny objects. So we're always looking for the latest trend to jump on. So, what does conscious creation really mean to you?
Well, for me, it starts with what do I want? Like if you can't create what you don't know, and it's getting really clear. So when I work with clients, we get really clear on the goal for the business and the goal for life as well.
Mm,
So I have like what I call the ideal life, and that's a future that's not dated. It's not like by this date. So like I always say to people when I start work to them, what's your ideal life? And I'll get them to write it out and I'll read it and go, if anything was possible, would you still write that? Because I had one lady, I remember she goes, wrote all this stuff. So I'd have a mid-range SUV and, a nice enough house. And I said, if anything was possible, would you still have a mid-range SUV and a house? And she goes, no, I'd have. So, well, we don't think big enough, right? Because we don't think, oh, that's not possible to me. So you want to dream that, but also have a clear indication with a date for your business goal. And one thing about conscious creating I'll talk about is visualization. And one, I guess, example of this is when we wanted to extend our house. So we had three kids and it was too small, and it was going to be multiple six figures to do what we pretty much going to knock down a house and rebuild it. And we didn't have the money or the finances at the time. So I'd like every night before I went to bed, or when I was in bed, I'd close my eyes and I'd visualize myself. We had the map of what we wanted the house to look like. I'd visualize myself driving home from the studio, opening the door, greeting the kids, greeting my wife, going to our fridge. And well, I'd always wanted a fridge with an ice maker in it, right? Putting some ice in there, getting a spice rum. I love spice rum, and sitting in a hanging chair at the back on our back deck. That we didn't have the hanging chair, we didn't have the back deck, we didn't have the house. And I visualized that series of events for about 2 years, and then I forgot about it. And then we got our house built, and we did it, right? And I didn't even remember doing that really until one night I walked in, did that exact sequence of events, sat in the chair. I remember sitting there, and I can see the chair from here, and it still gives me goosebumps. I go, fuck, this is real now. I've done it hundreds of times because I've rehearsed it. And conscious creating is all about what you want, but also the feeling of what you want, which draws it back to you. So it's not just visualizing, it's actually the feeling now in that moment. So every night I felt that feeling for 2 years and then
mm,
happened. And I do that with other things as well. And it works. And
mm.
you're just putting it out there and letting it go. But obviously, there's things you have to do in the real world to get it. So, what action steps do I need to do to move towards that as well? So, you can't
Yeah.
just think, you got to put the action steps. I don't know who said it, but like, you know, you can't. just wish to win Tatsotto. You've got to actually buy a fucking ticket, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't win Tatsotto if you don't buy a ticket, right? I couldn't build a house if I didn't have the funds to do it. So what's that look like practically in the business to do that? And that's what you move towards during the day. But
Mm.
visualization is a super powerful tool that no one uses, or not
Yeah.
many people.
So I did a lot of, probably similar to you, I've done a lot of coaching, mindset coaching and stuff. I started uh, when my daughter was 2. So after that, I was like, all right, I've got to get this sorted or whatever. And my very first coach, he was this beautiful blend of business and very woo, which was fantastic. So he used to like, get me to visualize in every session. And it was amazing because it's similar. I had a bit of a similar story, and it was about getting on a particular stage and speaking on stage. And again, such a mirrored story because I'd forgotten about it. I was even wearing the exact outfit that I that I'd seen myself in, but I hadn't chosen that. It was just what fit me at the time too. Do you know? I remember coming off stage and going, "Holy moly!" Actually, do you know what? I must message him because he kept in contact with me for a few years, and I was thinking he'd love that story too. Do you have many those moments with your clients, your coaching clients, where you get they kind of like message you and say something, you just like,
That's my favorite thing is to hear wins from clients. And on the Ideal Life one, just an example, I had a client, Kim, in New Zealand, and I worked with her in the 12-week program, which I do, and then she came into the mastermind. Anyway, I got her to write her ideal life. Now, at the time, it had like a new studio, a new house. Her and her partner and families are going to live in this new house. It had a new puppy, all these things that, and when she wrote it, she didn't really believe it, right? And she's like, seems very far-fetched and just trust it. Anyway, it was about a year and a half later, and we were doing a mastermind sort of end of season drinks Zoom we do. Like we just have one where everyone grabs a drink and we just sort of celebrate the year. And she came on and she said, I just read through my ideal life that I wrote 18 months ago and it's all come true. And she brings up this little puppy that they just got. So she got the house, she got a new studio, all these things. And it's like, she goes, when I wrote that, it was literally impossible.
yeah,
And
that's so cool.
that was amazing. But I always love getting texts from clients going, "Oh my God, it fucking worked. I just got this sale or this happened." And that's what makes, you're probably the same, makes what we do so awesome, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what we want. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always say to people, you just need the first yes. You just need that first validation that what you're doing and the work that you're putting in is in the right direction. And then you're off to the races. So yeah, the
Yeah.
first
It's
yes.
courage over confidence. People wait till they're confident to do things, but you can't be confident until you've done it, right? So you
Yeah.
have to have the courage to take that step and new price list or a new whatever. Then the confidence comes once you get that first yes. And it's easier.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question that I just came to mind, and I think this is an interesting one that I'd like to ask myself sometime too. You remember what it was like to start your own business, and maybe in that first 2 or 3 years of business, I don't know about you, but I definitely didn't have a lot of confidence in myself, and I was always trying to go to the AIPP events and try and improve my skills and learn off everybody and all of that kind of thing. But if there was one bit of advice that you could go back to Joel back in 2001, 2002 to help you to like just like I talked about the courage over confidence, but I think sometimes people can't necessarily like they go, oh, that's all right for you to say. Is there one piece of advice that you would give in order to help yourself to move quickly into confidence, like move quicker?
Yeah, one of the things I did, and this is going to sound self-serving, but it's not, is I wish I had a coach earlier, like
Yeah.
100%. Because what a coach does is helps give you confidence because you got someone holding your hand going, yes, this is the right step, because you second guess yourself all the time. Like I did bricky laboring, which is one of the worst jobs you can do. It was the hardest job. Like from 5:30 in the morning till 3 o'clock of the day for 2.5 years. And then I'd come home and try to make the photography business work. And I just got treading water, treading water, treading water. And then I got a coach and it just took off after that. And I think it was because I had someone in my corner saying, this is what to do. This is when you should do this. That's probably my biggest piece. Apart from that, if you can't do coaching, learn as much as you can about yourself. Like go inward, listen to podcasts, read books, but do the work on yourself because it starts with you. Like what's getting in my way here? What are the blocks? What are the limiting beliefs I've got? Shift some of that to start.
Mm.
Like that's like it all starts with us.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I can't not self-serving, it's totally fine because it'd be the advice that I give to myself too. I mean, I always say to people, like, my program is the program I wish that I'd had in the first kind of couple of years of my business. Definitely would help to accelerate. And the great thing I think for a lot of people is you and I probably had a similar coaching community in that we had the kind of the elders that were probably around us and that supported us. Unfortunately, in Australia, the AIPP dissipated, and a lot of the Aussie photographers may not have the same kind of access that we had. Maybe there is, I know Mark's Rosetto's got his community now. But to have like a cheaper entry sort of one. But there are so many online communities available as well. So if you're listening and you're feeling a little bit alone, jump in, but just go in, sit in for an hour, I would say, read a few posts. If you're getting that negativity, what do we say, Joel? Get the hell out of there.
Get out. Yeah. You are who you surround yourself with. And this is why, I think you do it too, but in my group, in my coaching programs, we have a group element to it.
Yeah.
A community element, because you can have that energy around you of that positivity, because so many spaces. And I think the thing that was great for us is, well, we're not the same as you. There was no Facebook, there was no Instagram. A lot of it was the face-to-face AIPP meetings and catch-ups, and like, there was constantly something to go to. What I've found, and I've talked to other coaches about this, is it's so hard since COVID to get people back in person anymore, right? Because a lot of the photographers weren't around pre-COVID, like a large majority, and they don't understand the power of in-person events and the connections and things you can make in person that you don't over Zoom. And I think people just got a bit lazy. It's like, it's easier just to jump on a Zoom than to go out and to meet people. But I think everything comes back, like it swings back, like it swings all the way to Zoom, and it's going to swing, it's starting to swing back. More in-person events, I think, will happen. And, there's talk about the RPP getting back together, which, I hope they do. Like, I need that community, I think, for an organization like the NZIPP, I deal with a lot.
You were there. Yeah, I was there last year. I remember I was there with Alison, my business partner, and I remember sitting on that last night and just going, oh my God, this community is just so beautiful. And I was almost mourning for those, like the AIPP. I was like, oh, it's so sad. We were at WPPI at the start of last year, and that was amazing too. That was like incredible. But the New Zealand is so intimate. Like, it's just such a, if like every single person knew who every single person in the room was. That's incredible. Like, how beautiful.
It's a real family feel to it.
Yeah.
And that's what the OPP used to be like. Like, it was amazing.
I remember it was, I feel so blessed to have had that experience. And my dad was a photographer, so I've come up as a child. So there was, there was a lot of friends that sort of took me under their wing and stuff like that. And I think that's maybe something that might be missing a little bit too, is like genuine mentorship. Like, I have not had somebody come and ask me to kind of sit side saddle with me in years. Like, I used to get it all the time. And I'm like, if anybody ever wanted to come and carry a light or get a bag, carry a bag for me and tag along in the car, I would 100% say yes, because that was given to me. And I just think that's the invitations that you can get when you are at those events or you are in person with people. So
well, part of one of the things in my coaching program I get people to do is like, who do you admire in photography? Who do you see and love? Now reach out to them.
Yeah, and that's a cool idea. I haven't thought of doing that.
Yeah. I go, I can't do that. I go, well, why? Why? Yeah, steal away. I go, why can't you do that? Because most people are so open to having a chat. Like, hey, can we do a Zoom or a coffee catch up or whatever? Most 90% of photographers will go, yeah, that'd be amazing. No problem.
Yeah,
but that's scared to. But like you said, in ARPP days, you talk to someone and go, hey, can I pick your brain on that? Can I have a coffee? And I don't know if I'm built different like with that, but I would see someone that's doing what I want to do and I'd go, hey, can I come and talk to you about it?
And I 100% did the exact same thing.
Yeah. I don't think I had ever had anyone knock me back. Like,
no ever knocked me back either. And I got a back end access to some of the most amazing studios in Sydney, and these, legends would let me come in. I just think, again, if anyone's listening, people are open. So just, contact people who you admire, as I said, because I honestly think that's the quickest way to learn. I mean, some of my best stuff I learned literally sitting in the back of a thing, and somebody would go, have you seen this new face Photoshop thing? Do you remember back in those days when we were all learning Photoshop together? And you'd find something that would literally save you an hour of work because someone had a little hack for you. So yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to just throw one more question at you, if you don't mind. I know we've been here for quite a while, but I think this has been an awesome discussion. Can I get you to finish this sentence? A successful creative business starts with.
You. That's it. It's all like I'm big on this, like everything in the business, right? You are the business. So whatever's going on in your head, in your heart, maps out into your reality. So it's crafting and curating and not just, like you said, autopilot. Don't autopilot, right? Don't get so caught up in the noise that you forget to understand who you are and what's happening. And okay, be curious, like, why is that happening? Or how can I shift that? Or how can I do a better process here? It's always asking yourself questions. And when you're doing that, you can't help but be successful, right? Because when what people do is create statements for themselves, which is, I can't do that. Where I've got no money, I've got no leads. And it's like, well, why haven't I got leads? Where can I find leads? Or what can I do differently? And it's that constant curiosity that's people that are successful. Yeah.
I've loved this conversation, Joel. I think you and I could talk for like days on this stuff. Thank you
Yeah.
so
Well,
much. So,
I
sorry,
think
go
you
ahead.
understand, you're the same, like you're a coach as well, but you understand the power of these questions and thinking slightly differently.
Yeah, yeah. You and I have just forged similar paths where I've done so much work on myself. And it's really interesting because I think a lot of the work that I did helped me to step maybe out of my feminine and into my masculine in my business, which was actually really powerful for me. It's funny, I was talking to someone about this the other day and going, I just don't have anywhere near amount of emotion in the back end of my business that I used to. I keep the emotion for the photo shoot day with the client, with every touch point with the clients, and I've just removed that from thing. And that's been probably a game changer for me over the last sort of 10 to 15 years. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting that it can take a different turn, right?
I think that's exactly what you need to look at it. Everyone's got masculine energy and feminine energy, and you need both to run a successful business. And when do you turn each part on and off
Mm,
is key, right? And I've had to
mm,
tap into feminine energy a lot more in my businesses as well, because I'm very heavily in that masculine facts, figures, numbers. Like I love that stuff, but I need to tap in. I did really well into the emotional part of it and nurturing the sequence of, having, because all my clients mostly were women. Like the wedding photography, you're mostly talking to the bride.
mhm,
Portraits, you're mostly talking to the mum. Now, 90% of my clients are women. Like if I didn't have that side of it, it wouldn't work, right?
mm,
So you have to have both and balance the both because everyone's got both. It's just what are
mm.
you utilizing? And yeah, the masculine can be really powerful in the back end of businesses, right? To think like a business owner, not a photographer.
Yeah,
Think like a photographer when you're shooting, like, of course, and the other
yeah,
times you got to think like a business owner.
yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, go and work for someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
thing.
If you don't like challenge and think about yourself, work for someone else for
I
sure.
remember having that crossroads. Oh gosh, it would have been probably, it was in the early days, but I was doing like 70, 80 weddings a year. And I remember saying, I can do the 70 or 80 weddings, but I just can't manage this other part of the business aspect of things. And obviously I was doing 70 or 80 weddings because I didn't have all the boundaries in place. I didn't have the masculine hat on a Monday when someone inquired. So, so interesting. Well, Joel, this has been a great discussion. Where can people find out and learn more about you?
Probably Insta's the best starting point.
Great
At
stuff.
Johl Dunn, which is JOHLDNN, spelled different. Yeah, that's the main platform we
Excellent.
use and communicate with. Yeah.
We'll pop that into the show notes as well. So thank you again for your time and your energy and your wonderful wisdom.
No, I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, I enjoy talking to like-minded business owners and coaches. And yeah, it's been a really fun.
Great stuff. Take care, Joel.
Thank you.